I'm now joined by Julius NBA, counsel to DCP Abba Kyari, as well as Hamza Dantani, who is counsel to Abba Kyari's brothers. They both will provide clarity to this case. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here. I'll start with you, Julius. What does the acquittal of Kyari mean legally, and does it completely clear him of the allegations brought by the NDLEA?
For purpose of this case, the acquittal clears him from any allegation at this stage as brought against him by the NDLEA. You know, the case of Abba Kyari is a peculiar case in the sense that the origin of what transpired today was the case of him getting involved in drug issues by drug traffickers that brought in drug into Nigeria sometime in 2021, I think so, yeah. So, and for that reason, NDLEA commenced investigation and answered Abba Kyari is living beyond his means and all that, and for that reason, they said he needed to declare his asset. So for today, the judgment of the court discharging him and acquitting him on those counts of charge, they filed in total 23 counts charge against him, and some centrally against him. Some were tied to his younger brothers. So, but after due consideration of the evidence presented by the parties, because in this case he testified as DW1, and the court did justice to the case by looking at the evidence presented by the parties and acquitted him.
All right. Okay, let's just move on to Hamza. We'll come back to you, Julius. The court said prosecutors failed to provide sufficient evidence linking Kyari to the properties in question. From a legal standpoint, how critical is the burden of proof in asset declaration cases?
Of this matter, you know, in any criminal proceedings, the burden of proof lies on the prosecution to establish their case beyond reasonable doubt. And in the view of the circumstances of this matter at hand, the prosecution failed in any way to establish that the defendants in these suits, you know, committed that particular offense, which is 23 count charges. They did not prove the case even in a single count charges from count 1 to count 23. They failed to establish or prove that this particular defendant has committed an offense. It is unfortunate for you or to general public to understand that there is a land in Maiduguri named Polo. It's a polo ground. It's a ceremonial ground, which I think it is just like an event a ground belong to Borno State government, which the NDLEA came to frame a charge against Abba Kyari that the land belonged to him, without proving to the court that this land actually belonged to Abba Kyari and other of his properties, especially the family house. The family house belonged to the deceased father, which they framed a charge against Abba Kyari that that particular family house belonged to Abba Kyari, without having a requisite fact to establish or prove beyond reasonable doubt that that particular family house belongs to Abba Kyari.
The judgment was quite explicit in condemning the lack of evidence, but does it mean the case is permanently closed, or does the NDLEA still have the legal option to appeal the decision? The question is to you, Julius, please.
Yes, thank you, Ma. In our jurisprudence, the option of appealing a decision when a party is dissatisfied with the decision of the trial court is essentially for the party to decide. NDLEA may elect to appeal, is their right. It's constitutionally provided for them to do so. But nobody can stop them. The election is theirs. On our part, we see the judgment as what the justice of the case demands as of today. Thank you, sir.
Okay, the charges against Kyari's brothers over alleged conspiracy and false affidavit, that has now been taken out. They've been acquitted. What does this suggest about the further strength of cases, not just for the brothers, but the cases against Kyari?
Of course, I think these that involve his two brothers are not connected with the other case that he is facing before Court 8, before Emeka Wike. I think that case has a link with cocaine and other substances, which I believe it is connected with other officers of the Nigerian police. But perhaps in the as far as this case is concerned, his two brothers has been exonerated by the judgment of the court. And then the judgment is quite clear, and I don't see any avenue. Although they have the right to appeal, but I doubt if they have any cause of action to appeal. Although it's their right, but based on the plane of the particular judgment, I think the judgment is very clear.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for speaking with us tonight.